Hello, today I'm going to chat with you about building up your tolerance for anxiety. Hi, I'm Emma Coble. I'm a licensed professional counselor and I see clients in Colorado and in Florida. Um, so, I have another video about how EMDR can help you have a stronger anxiety tolerance. So, if this is something you're interested in, EMDR therapy is a great tool for developing and building anxiety tolerance. So I recommend to watch that one as well as this. So the first thing I want to say about this is anxiety is it's it can show up in all different ways for us in our bodies. It can show up like racing thoughts, a fast heart rate, clenched jaw, difficulty breathing, and it can feel like a really uncomfortable and a really painful experience, and it's one that we often really want to escape from naturally because it's really unpleasant, and our bodies are designed to kind of help us get away from unpleasant experiences and move toward more pleasant experiences. But the thing with anxiety that I'll be talking about throughout this video is the more we try, and it's ironic because with most things in our lives, the more we try and change things in our lives, the more change we will see. If we're at a job and we take this that we don't like and we take the steps to expand our skill set and apply to new jobs and all this stuff, we're likely to get a new job in the future. With anxiety, however, and with a lot of human emotion and human experience, the more we try and change it, the more we say, I won't have this experience, I can't have this experience, the more we actually will have that experience. So the goal with anxiety is not to get rid of it and make it disappear from our lives forever. We're humans. I don't believe that that's truly possible. And in fact, we wouldn't even really want that existence because anxiety can be very helpful for us in a lot of situations. The goal is to change how we relate to anxiety. And as a result of relating to anxiety differently and inviting it in and, living with anxiety, our anxiety naturally does go down, actually. So, yeah, so that's kind of the first framing I want to present on this. Um, and I will add to that for many of us, we've had experiences with trauma, chronic stress, burnout, negative early childhood experiences that tell us or make us on hyper alert for threats where there really isn't a threat. So, what tends to happen is that we might recognize that a lot of these things are not threats, and so that we're actually afraid of. And so when anxiety shows up, we're just like, stop, go away. Maybe we have to give like a talk, and we're nervous for it. So we try to be like, do not be anxious. And we start to actually maybe get anxious about even getting anxious and try to just clamp it down. But the more and more we do that, the more anxious we end up getting, probably, also about the fact that we are now anxious, and we can't really control it. And this becomes just this spiral. So the whole what we won't have, we will have. Resistance, things we resist persist. This is so the case for anxiety. So rather, again, than just trying to push anxiety away, we want to invite it in. And by that, I do not mean just sitting there like stewing in your anxious thoughts and like, oh my gosh, what if my, parents die, and, going through all the scenarios and just kind of traumatizing yourself. That's not what I mean. Rather, we want to treat anxiety as if it is a part of us that's giving us a warning. So I want to use this example, and I think Daniel Erickson talks about this originally, where if we had a friend who thought we were about to get hit by a bus, and the friend was like, hey, Emma, like, there's a bus coming, you're about to be hit. And we were just like, shut up, like, go away. like that friend would try and scream louder. Like that friend would be like, no, seriously, like there's a bus. And eventually she might like kind of run up to us and try and shake us to get us to move. Like, get out of the way, you know? She would feel so unheard. But if we said to our friend, like, oh, thank you. I see actually that bus is, going the other direction and I've got an eye out, but thank you so much. I hear you. Thanks for your concern. Like the friend would calm down. And so we need to learn to relate to our anxiety in that same way. Like this part of us that is anxious is a part that it's been around for humans' entire existence. It's protected us from threats in the past for so much time, like from other tribes that were maybe out to get us, from if it heard a loud lion in the distance or something like that, like it would help us get out of that environment. So this part of us that is anxious has helped us in the past. The truth though is that there's not a lot of major threats like that in our environment right now. So first of all, recognizing it as a part, recognizing the ways it has served you as a human and in your evolution, and also just served you maybe in your own life. Like what would your childhood have been like perhaps if you hadn't been alert to threats in your environment? For many of my clients, their childhoods would have felt far more out of control, and potentially they would have been even more dangerous than they sometimes were. So again, we want to change our relationship, soften towards anxiety in general. And I will say that I think therapy can really help you do that if you're struggling to do it on your own. We're not trying to suppress the anxiety. We're not trying to make it go away, because as we've just explored, that just makes anxiety feel stronger. Rather, when we are present with anxiety, we recognize it as a part, we acknowledge it, we honor it, and then we also say, sweetie, I'm here with you, and we can do this hard thing that maybe feels a little scary. So something like, for people who have insomnia, like being with wakefulness, like allowing that to be there, and not taking a pill, but like doing something fun, watching a movie, reading a book, or maybe like sharing or setting a boundary that feels scary, and being with that scared part and reassuring it while doing it, but showing it like the adult version of you has got this, and we're okay, and this is not a threat. Sitting with panic, not trying to push that away, sitting with the panic in your body that might come up, noticing that passes, that all feelings and sensations in our body do pass. Each time you do this, you're helping your body build trust and realize that anxiety itself isn't a threat, and that you can handle and tolerate anxiety as well. One thing I want to say about this is it's about taking small steps. So it's not like we want to, we're afraid, like thinking of it as if we were a kid, like, if there's a kid who's afraid of a monster under the bed, you don't want to go like shove the kid's head under the bed and say, look, there's no monsters there. You want to like maybe slowly walk up to the bed and, hold their hand, and like if they're ready, like show them under the bed there's no monster. It's kind of like this mixture of like doing things in a way where you're very gentle and attuned and respecting what this anxious part is needing, but also at the same time, like pushing a little bit, like this courage and this kindness toward yourself when you're doing this. And you also want to remember that, anxiety is in our bodies as well. So doing things somatically that support your body, like maybe putting a hand on your heart, telling yourself, like, I care about this suffering, I care about this anxiety. Doing things like moving your body, getting outside, having good days, having joy and pleasure in your life is really, really helpful for anxiety as well. So, and there are also somatic techniques in therapy like EMDR, and that's another video you can go watch to learn a little bit about that. But anxiety therapy in general can help you build a new baseline and just have a wider range of tolerance for anxiety so that you can live a life that you don't feel held back by anxiety. You can live a life that's really in line with your values and what you want. So, if you do want help with this, feel free to reach out for a consultation. I'd love to chat with you and have a great day.